Welcome back to Cosmeholics Anonymous. I am your favorite baby mama, Bo Vintage, and today's video is just something I need to get off my chest. So I mentioned this on my live the other day that I am having an issue with one of my neighbors, okay? Now, this is not the same neighbor I talked about in the last rant video when I was having the absolute worst week ever. This is a different neighbor. This is the neighbor that lives below me. I live in, like, they call it a condo, but I live in a townhouse. And so the way that the houses are set up is there's 4 units per thing. I don't even know how to word it. And then the 2 units on the end, so this unit and this unit, are below units, and then the 2 in the middle are above. I live in one of the above units. Shooter and I are the only people that live here, and we are fairly quiet for the most part. I work from home, so you know, I spend most of my days upstairs. I spend most of my days in either my beauty room or my bedroom because that's where I edit. And then the rest of the time I'm either going downstairs to get something to eat or like just hanging out on the couch downstairs. We're watching a movie, but pretty much we are chill people. We don't do too much vigorous things in our house. We've lived here for about a year now, and originally when we moved in, my landlord was letting the people that live below us rent our parking spot because we didn't have a car. And so it was just a matter of whenever we get a car, we let him know a little bit ahead of time, and he could tell them and they can make arrangements to park their little extra car somewhere else, because the tea is that they have 2 cars but only 1 parking spot. I didn't even think about that. That's not even been like a thought. Like, I never ever thought that would be an issue, you know what I mean? And I don't even know if that is what the issue is, but my neighbor seems to want to fight us, and we're not having it, especially not me. It all started a couple months ago whenever I did that first Bo's Bakery with my nephew. Not first Bo's Bakery, but whenever I did that Bo's Bakery with my nephew, Malik. He is very active. He's only 3 years old, and he was staying here for a couple days. He was actually supposed to stay an entire week, but we had to send him home because my neighbor was having an issue. So basically, because they live downstairs, they can, or not, I say downstairs, it sounds like they live in my house, but like basically because they live below us, they can hear footsteps and stuff on my floor, on their ceiling, and so they don't like that. And so up until Malik got here, we didn't have any issues. I got my car in February, and so that is when they had to get their ass out my parking spot. Yeah, like I said, before Malik got here, there was never any issue. So one day when Malik was here, Malik was playing on the floor, and he had action figures, and he was playing with the laundry basket, and he was making a little bit of noise on the floor, but I didn't think it was a big deal, you know what I mean? I didn't even know at this point that the neighbors could hear anything below us. Like, that's kind of crappy. And I lived in a basement apartment before, so I know what it's like, but like a basement apartment is completely different than where we're living at now. This is like literally like if you were to live in a high-rise and there was people living in the apartment under you. That's what it's like. But I guess it's a little bit more intimate because it's a townhouse and not an apartment building, and it's not concrete in between us. Like I said, Malik was here. He was playing on the floor, and my neighbor came to my door in his pajamas, and he made a complaint to us about the noise. And so we were like, okay, and we tried to get Malik to like stay on the couch and stuff and not make as much noise, but at the end of the day, he's a 3-year-old and he's active, so what can we really do? So he was having a hissy fit about that. He ended up, I guess because the noise persisted, even though we tried to talk to Malik and like, you know, get him to like chill, he ended up calling my landlord, and then my landlord wanted to speak to us. But realistically, it's not like Malik is making noise at like past the hours that he should be making noise, you know, because he's in his bed. So we ended up sending Malik home early. So then fast forward, and I believe my neighbor had come to my house again. I don't remember for what this time, but it was again another noise complaint, and I was just like, yo, this is ridiculous. Like, why are you coming to my door? If it's not between the hours of like 6 a.m. or like if it's not like unreasonable where we're making any kind of noise, we're not having parties, you know what I mean? If we're not doing anything belligerent between like, I don't know, 9 a.m. and 11 p.m. on a weekday, leave me the hell alone. Don't come to my door, don't bother me, don't say nothing to me. So he came to my house a second time, whatever, brushed it off. Didn't hear anything from him for a while, but I'm sure he was agitated because when he came back the third time, which was about 3 weeks ago now, when he came back the third time, he wasn't happy. But the third time he came back was because my mom was sewing, and the sewing machine is downstairs, and I guess the vibration is bothering him underneath us. We had no idea. So he came to the house, he banged on the door. I thought it was a package delivery, so I'm all excited. I was upstairs, me and Trina were upstairs, my mom was downstairs. My mom goes down and opens the door, and I realized that she's standing at the door for too long having a conversation with whoever it is there. So I'm thinking, oh, maybe I need to go sign for this package. I started to hear them like kind of bickering back and forth, and my mom kept saying, okay, I will tell her, I will tell her, I will tell her. But he wasn't leaving. Like, he just kept repeating himself. So my mom's like, okay, I will tell her, to the point where my mom kind of had to like just close the door in his face because he would not stop repeating himself. And she was just trying to get, like, it was 4:30 in the afternoon. Why are you at my door? Why are you at my door? Like, it was 4:30 in the afternoon. After that, I was just like, okay, chill on the sewing. We won't do too much sewing because like I can't deal with him, and then he's gonna try to call my landlord and complain, and it's just gonna be too much mess, and like I can't deal. Even though it's only 4:30 p.m., it's not like we're sewing at 11 o'clock at night, you know what I mean? Like, if I want to sew, I can sew, but like it's just not a thing. So by the time I got downstairs, the door was already shut, and my mom told me, and then we were just talking about what just happened, and I was pissed. So then last week, not even last week. So shortly after that incident happened with my mother and him at the door, one day I was parking my car, and he was outside standing by his truck in the alternate parking spot, and he was staring at me while I was reverse parking. And so I thought it was the other neighbor because they look similar, right? They both have like 5 o'clock shadows, except he's short and the other guy's taller. And I'm mad cool with the other neighbor. He's super cool, right? Like, he complimented me on my Puma slides, the green ones with the bow on them. I was like, thank you. So anyway, I'm reverse parking, and it's me and Shooter in the car, and the neighbor's just staring. And so I was like, okay, maybe he's waiting for me to say hello to him. So then the way he was staring at me was not like how the other guy, you know, communicates with me. Plus, the other guy doesn't own that truck. He owns like a black SUV. And so I was just like, hey, like, you know, because why are you looking at me? And then he kind of like just went like this and then put his hand down. It was just really super awkward. It was the most awkward thing ever. And so he was just like grilling us because he's mad about the noise that we're supposedly making, okay? I reverse park, we go inside, we're minding our business. Last week, fast forward to last week, Shooter comes home, and it's in the afternoon. It's like 4 o'clock, again 4:30. And Shooter is grinding up he's grinding up parsley to make like this sauce for the jerk chicken. And he has it in like, I don't know what the thing is called, but it's like this heavy like ceramic bowl with like a press in it, and like you beat up the spices in the thing. Like, we always use it on Shooter's kitchen. And so he was using that, and he was grinding up the parsley, and I hear this I don't even want to do it on this, but it's what? It's okay, thanks. So I'm at the thing, and I hear this at my door, and I'm like, who in the federality's here for? Why are the police here? What is going on? So I'm like, oh my god, hide all the drugs. No, I'm just joking. So I'm like, okay, what the hell? So I go down to the front door. I look at the people. Who is it? My damn neighbor in his stank ass pajamas and no shoes. Okay, why are you at my door? So I open the door, and I'm like, what's good? What's good, partner? Like, why are you here today, sir? What can I do for you? You mother effing Jehovah's Witness. Like, what can I do for you today? So I open the door, and he's like, I hearing banging coming from your blah blah blah. And I'm just like, my husband is upstairs cooking dinner. What would you like from us today? Like, literally the banging when Shooter was grinding up the parsley, it had just begun. Like, literally just begun. That's why it didn't even cross my mind that it would be the neighbor, because especially because of how he knocked. Like, the knock was so forceful. I really thought police, FBI. I thought something that happened to my mama. Like, I really thought somebody was at the door because something bad happened, right? Yeah, so when it was him, I was like, oh my god, not again. So he's saying that there's banging coming and that it's constant and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, constant banging coming from up here? No, what the heck are you talking about? my husband's making dinner right now, so he's grinding up something, and he's grinding up spices in the thing, but that's about it. He's like, well, I don't know what it is, but blah 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 blah. He's French, and so I'm like, I just told you what it is. And then I'm like, I'm like, but you know what, since you're here, let's hash this out, let's talk, because I'm kind of getting irritated with you keep coming to my door at these times of the day. It's not like it's 11 o'clock at night and he's grinding up parsley. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. We're about to make dinner. We're trying to have dinner. Like, I don't understand why you're at my door. He's like, I don't know if you understand, but that you can hear everything underneath me, or you can hear everything down there, like blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like, I can't even deal. Give me 1 second. Let me get Shooter, because I don't feel like a man should be talking to me anyway. Shooter can deal with this man, because I'm not about to do it. I'm not about to do it. So I figured both of us would stand there and talk to him. So Shooter comes, and Shooter is basically like, yo, why are you at my door? Blah, 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 blah. And the guy, once again, just like he was doing with my mother, he's repeating himself, saying he doesn't know what the noise is, but there's always noises coming from our apartment and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, no, there's not, because I work from home and blah, blah, blah. So I address him, and I'm like, the first time you came to my door, it was about my nephew, and that was a couple months ago. And that was the first time my nephew was here, and the last, because we didn't want to disturb you downstairs. So my nephew was here, he's 3 years old, and you guys had an issue with that. And so Shooter interrupts me, and he's like, yeah, like, what if we have kids of our own, which, hello, hi, and they're making noise? Are you gonna be coming to our house every day? That makes no sense. And then he's trying to say, this man tried to say that my nephew that lives in mother effing Toronto, okay, is here all the time. Who's picking him up and dropping him off? Because it's not me. How is he here all the time? I said, my nephew's here all the time, but he lives in Toronto, so what are you talking about? He's been here that one time. He's like, I see him all the time. No, you do not. He's full of shit. So then I'm like to him, and the second time you came here was for I don't even know what, and then you came for the third time you came was the other day when my mother opened the door for you, and it was for the sewing. And since you complained about the sewing, we have not sewn. We just decided we're not going to sew on the downstairs floor. We decided that, okay? So now you're here, and you're here based on something that was happening 2 minutes ago, and it has to involve dinner. And so Shooter's like, yes, I'm a chef, this is what I do. And the guy once again says, I don't know what you're doing up there. We said, we just told you he was grinding up parsley to put in the dinner. And then Shooter's like, I'm not Shooter's like, it's not like I'm murdering people upstairs and you guys can hear it downstairs. I'm cooking dinner and it's 4:30 in the afternoon and you're at my door. Like, this is ridiculous. And so I'm getting heated now because every time we say something to him, he's not listening. He's not processing. He's just not hearing it. Like, he's just ignorant, okay? And so I'm like, you came here 2 weeks ago and complained about the sewing, and he called me a liar. He said, well, you're a liar because that was not 2 weeks ago, that was like a month ago. And I'm like, are you crazy? Are you crazy? So Shooter actually shut the door in his face because he's like, you're not gonna call my wife a liar. But it was facts. Like, he came 2 weeks ago. It was not 4 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago that he was at my door, and now he's here again because he was trying to ask, like, why are you so mad? Why are you irritated? And I'm like, I'm irritated because it's like you're coming every week now. Like, you're like a little cockroach. So I'm pissed. And so he's like, I never dealt with anybody like that before. You're so aggressive. Like, your mom was aggressive too. I said, aggressive? Aggressive? Who are you calling aggressive? And at this moment, I knew the man was racist. I said, you're not about to do that, sir. Like, take your ass to Charlottesville if that's how you feel. Because I am not aggressive. I am passionate, if that's one thing. But of course, if my neighbor's at my door knocking every 5 minutes for BS, and it's not between the hours that I shouldn't be making noise, because that's why the laws are in place. The laws are in place so that between the hours of 8 a.m. and 11 p.m. you can make as much noise as you want in your apartment and can't nobody complain. If it's after 11 p.m. or before 8 a.m. then okay. Then you could call the authorities, call the 12 and let them come to my house and deal with me, give me a fine, a ticket, whatever. But if it's between those times that I'm at home working, like literally I'm doing work. Like, I told him, I'm like, do you not have a job? Why are you home during the day? I work from home. What is your excuse for being home right now? And he's like, I do work, but blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, that's between you and your employer, but I work from home and like I pay my rent just like you do, and you're not about to keep coming to my house because at the end of the day you're not putting food on my table, and if you're stopping me from working, then that means you're gonna be paying my rent. You're gonna be my sugar daddy. So what's really good? So I'm pissed because he called me aggressive and then had the nerve to say that my mom was aggressive too. And so both me and Shooter at the same time were like, my mother was not aggressive with you. We heard the entire conversation and you just kept repeating yourself. Obviously, if you keep repeating yourself and you're being ridiculous, people are gonna get angry. Like he just literally keeps repeating himself saying he doesn't know what it is, and I'm like, okay, but we just told you. Like Kanye, we just told you. I told you, like we just told you what the noise is, and every single time we told him, okay, well this is when you came this time, we fixed the problem. You came a second time, we fixed the problem. You came this third time, the third time for the sewing, we fixed that problem, and now you're here for this, but this is not a problem that can be fixed. But at the end of the day, it could be fixed because it was just something that he needed to do for today. Like he was grinding up the stuff, and the fact that it was only happening for 2 minutes that he was grinding the thing and the guy came banging at my door was just ridiculous. And so we're like, now that's the issue. And then once we said, okay, if it's not my nephew and it's not the whatever and it's not sewing and it's not the fact that we're cooking dinner, then what is the issue? He's like, well, sometimes you're walking and I can hear it. Move then. Just move. Go and live somewhere else. Don't choose a basement unit if you know people are gonna live above you. He asked the Shooter, a 240-pound man, to tiptoe in his own house. What ganja are you smoking? What are you smoking? Like, how are you gonna ask somebody to tiptoe in their house, saying that when we go up the stairs and go down the stairs he can hear it and blah blah blah. Shooter does have a heavy foot, but not my business. Like deal with it. You chose to live in a basement unit. That's not my problem. And so you're not gonna come to my door and talk about we're constantly making noises. Then when we tell you no we're not, and give you a reason every single time we made noise, you're gonna turn around and say that we walk too hard. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I cannot make this up, you guys. I cannot make this up. Like, he literally asked Shooter to tiptoe in his house. Can you tiptoe? Can you tiptoe? Can you? Like, do you have to tiptoe in your house? So this argument is just happening at my front door. It's just going on and on and on, and we're not getting anywhere because he's not listening, and anything that we say, he doesn't care to hear it. I was like, okay, you know what? You're the one with the issue. So what solution can we come to here? Because I gave you valid points and you're coming at me now with telling me that I walk too hard. I'm like, if it's not one thing, it's another with you. So how do you want us to solve this problem? We don't do anything that you like. I had to send my nephew home. I should not have had to send my nephew home. Like, that's not fair. I shouldn't have to stop sewing, and now you're telling me I can't cook. Oh, and so when Shooter said, when we told him about the cooking, he's like, you can't do that upstairs. Do you have a kitchen upstairs in your house, sir? Like, what are you talking about? Do it upstairs. Go and do your mama upstairs. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you saying for us to cook upstairs? I could not deal, you guys. You guys know I'm already emotional enough as it is, and so when he's at my door and I'm freaking out, like, I couldn't handle it. I was like, you know what, me and this baby are gonna go up the stairs, and let me just call my landlord, because my landlord did say, okay, if anything else rises, just call me, let me know, because like we have to figure something out. So I actually leave Shooter at the door and I go upstairs and I'm talking to my landlord and I'm just cussing and I'm pissed. Like, I'm livid, okay? And so my landlord's mad chill. Like, he's really cool. He's a really good landlord. It was nothing to call him and let him know that this friggin' frig boy is at my door and tell him whatever was going on. And so he was saying that he's gonna come and talk to the guy, and I was like, yeah, cool, because he actually knows him. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, whatever. The guy, my neighbor, is basically asking us to not live our lives. Like, what? It doesn't make any sense. And so when I was at the door, I actually said to him, look, if it's not, I said, do not come to my door again if it's not past 11 p.m. and we're making noise. Like, do not come to my door again, because you just asked a man to tiptoe in his own house. What? And then he said, he tried to ask if we want to go inside his house and he come and do whatever in our house, or like one of us stay inside our house and walk around and see what he hears. And I'm just like, who has time? We're not bothered. Like, you if you guys are having a party and we can hear the noise, we don't complain. If the girl next door is banging and hanging stuff in her house, we do not complain. We never show up at her door and thing. That's just what it is. You live in a townhouse, deal with it. Like, you know what I mean? His attitude and his whole demeanor was just so ridiculous, and I'm just like, this, I can't do this. I really cannot do this. Like, he was really upsetting me. I asked him, I said, since you're the one with the problem, what solution can we find? He was talking about, can we just be more courteous? I'm like, we can't get any more courteous, because at this point you're trying to stop my cash flow and it's just not happening. Like, if I'm not sewing, I'm not making money, so you need to, like, you need to do something, you know, or you need to figure something out for yourself. You need to go out and go take a walk on a beach. Like, I don't know what you need to do, but we're not the ones with the issue here. You are. So you need to tell us what we can do to satisfy you, and that's what we're trying to figure out. And then he just kept repeating himself about he doesn't know what the noises are, and I'm like, first of all, it's none of your business what the noises are, because when he came and was talking to my mom, he was trying to ask her what that noise was, and she was like, it's none of your business. It really isn't, though. You don't need to know what's going on in my house. Like, it's none of your business. If it's making noise, yes, it's making noise, and you can say it's making noise, but at the end of the day, you don't need to know what the noise is or where the noise is coming from. Like, that's none of your business. So just mind your own and go back into your house. And his wife also has an attitude with us. Stank face. Give my mom a stank eye the other day. I said, bitch, I will pop your eyes out, bitch. Don't you ever in your life. Like, I need to breathe. So this was actually shortly after my sister's baby shower, and my sister's baby shower was last weekend. Okay, so last weekend we actually drove to Toronto and we were there for 2 days. Why, when this man was at my door, did he try to say that there was noises coming from our apartment all weekend long and he never came to the door, and he's coming to the door today to complain? I said, oh, is that so? Well, guess where we were on the weekend? In Toronto. He's like, well, then I don't know if you know what's going on in your own house, but there was definitely noises coming. And then Shooter's like, okay, then we definitely have ghosts, because what are you talking about? Nobody was in our house. I said, unless the landlord was here having a party of his own, then there was no noises coming from our apartment, and you're just making stuff up now. And this is when I knew he was no longer credible, because if I was in Toronto and I damn well know nobody's in my house, because don't nobody have a key to this house except for us and our landlord, then who was in my house? Nobody. So at this point, I'm just like, okay, he's just making stuff up now. Plus, he's telling us to not walk heavy. I can't do this. And that's actually when I went upstairs to call my landlord. My landlord ended up coming, and he came really shortly after the argument. When I spoke to my landlord the next day, he called me the next day to film me in, because he was trying to come to the apartment, but I was like, no, we're going to my mom's house right now. And so that's the other thing too. 3 nights out the week, we're not here. We're at my mom's house. And so we're not here making noise constantly. Like, we're a quiet single couple, like, you know what I mean? There's nothing going on in our house. So yeah, so we actually were going to my mom's house. So I'm like, you can just call me tomorrow and like tell me whatever this guy said. So my landlord calls me the next day, and he fills me in. He's like, look, I told him the exact same thing you guys did. If it's within the hours, then there's not really much you can do about it. He can go to the condo board and complain, but they're gonna tell him the exact same thing. We're not doing anything that's crazy. My landlord, like, he just knew better. So then he also said to me, you know, try to be courteous, but at the end of the day, don't stop living your life, because he's complaining. Like, what he's complaining about doesn't make any sense, because I sat in his apartment for 45 minutes that same day. Like, yesterday I sat in his apartment for 45 minutes, and I didn't hear a peep coming from upstairs. Every once in a while I would hear somebody walking from A to B, but that was the only noise, and like, you can't complain about that. And then my landlord told me that he suggested to the guy, okay, the next time it's like excessive, record it so I can hear what's going on. He's like, I've tried to record it before, but it's not working, and blah blah blah. And no, you haven't. Like, if you can't hear it if you're trying to record it and you can't hear it, then that means it's not happening, because you're making stuff up. Like, stop. His wife tried to come outside, and he sent her right back inside. This is after he called me aggressive. His wife tried to come outside talking about, why is she yelling? Because your husband is at my door your husband is at my door talking about, we can't cook, we need to go upstairs in our own house to cook dinner. Like, there's a stove up here. What are you talking about? Like, so he told her to go back downstairs, and I'm glad he told her to go back downstairs, because the way that I was feeling that day, I might not have gouged his eyes out, but I would certainly not hesitate to gouge her eyes out. I was so glad he sent her back downstairs, because she did not want to match with me that day. Like, I was so freaking pissed. Like, oh my God. It's like, just go back inside, honey. Go back inside. That is the issue that I'm having with my neighbor, and they're gonna have to put it, until they move, they're gonna have to put up with us for a whole other year because I re-signed my lease. But they're just doing too much. Like, he will not come back to this door, and I promise if he does, I'm opening the door and I'm pepper spraying him, because at this point it's harassment. Like, don't come to my door at 4:30 p.m. at that. Like, what are you coming to my door at 4:30 p.m.? It's not like it's like 7 where people are winding down, you know what I mean? 4:30 p.m. you're gonna come and talk about I can't cook dinner, I can't walk across my floor, I can't do this, I can't do that. And it was just like, it was so annoying because it's just like every single time we gave him a solution to the problem, he came up with another problem. And so this is when I was like, okay, it has to do with the fact that I'm black and that I took my parking spot back. What do you want from me? Don't have 2 cars on one house. How about that? How about you go move into a house that has 2 parking spots, 2 garages, and is a detached house so that you can't hear the noise. The only time you should be complaining about noise is if you're living in a house that is not attached to another house, and you can hear the noise coming from the house that is beside your house on either side, left or right, but you're not attached. That's the only time you should be complaining about noise. If you live in something that is attached to something else, shut the hell up, deal with it, or move. That's your solution, because I can't find one for you. And I told him that. So it is what it is. But I just want to tell you guys what's been going on with my neighbor, because I'm finna slap somebody. Like,